Welcome, everybody, to the Gratitude, Attitude, and Commitment with the one and only and hilarious Danny Ham. Before I unmute him, because he was being very mischievous when I was about to launch the call, I just want to remind you that the views and opinions expressed on this call do not necessarily reflect those of Digital Experts LLC and all their subsidiaries, nor those of Digital Business Lounge. Having said that, Danny Ham, you may speak.
I can talk now. I can talk now. That's
you
cool.
have permission. You
Thank
have
you very
permission.
much. That's very kind. I feel like that slide was made for me. I just do, you know? I feel like that whole, we're not responsible for anything this guy says. I think that was just, it touches me. It feels like it was personal. So welcome to the call today. Thank you for joining us. Rick, good to have you here, my man. Mary, thanks for joining us today. Maureen, hello again. Jacqueline, one of the original cool kids, right? Been here forever. Ben, good to see you, man. Malgosia, I love the way your name is spelled. It looks brilliant. And Berna, thanks for hanging out. So today, and Ben, thank you for that cool video that you did after our last call, man. That was excellent. I'm just going to get you to shoot all my videos. That would be perfect. Thank you. In front of Anna's background. It's going to be amazing. So today, our topic is fear and how to kick its ass. So as always, this is a participatory call. So we're going to have a little something to do here at the beginning. It's really difficult. We need to write something down. Technically, you can type it in a notepad, but an old school pen and paper, I'm a big fan of, even if it's not legible, right? So grab something to write with, or your finger paints or whatever, all right? And the reason why we do this and we write it down in the beginning is so it's out there, something we think about. So then if I ask you a question about it later, you can't be like, well, I didn't come up with anything. And be like, well, that's just crap because I saw you write it down, right? Okay, so here's what we're writing down. Think of a couple things, could be two, could be three, where fear is stopping you from moving forward, okay? It can be in your personal life, it can be in your business, it can be for your health, it can be anything. Just think of a couple things, 2, 3, however many you got. If you have 20, you can write those. But where fear is stopping you from moving forward. All right, and those of you who I can't see who are playing along from home, as they say on television, Curls is spying on you. So she's going to know if you don't write something down. Just letting you know. All right, are we good? Do we have it written? Are we still thinking? All right, cool. So the first thing for us to know, now I'm probably going to tell you guys a bunch of shit that you know, but it's good to be reminded of things, right? Because very few things. I'm sorry, Curls, I can't see you. You happen to look like a logo. I can't really see you.
Like number one.
If I need to learn how to mute you, that would be great. Just to get you back.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. Touche. I'd have to call you to ask you how to mute you. So I get that that's never gonna happen, but that's okay. That's okay. You look amazing right now. So, the first thing to know is that fear is not real. Yeah. Sure. It feels real. The pounding heart knocking knees, the sweaty palms, those are real symptoms. But the thing we're actually afraid of is an illusion, right? It's a complete invention in the mind, right? So like ultimately, a spider can't make you scared. Shooting a video can't make you scared. The only thing that can make you scared is how our minds interpret these things. Fear is a phenomenon that resides entirely in our own brain. And, it's the mind that gives every interpretation its meaning, right? So, it's our mind that conjures up these negative emotions, right? The fear itself actually doesn't exist. This is why one person can look over the edge of a cliff, and be like gripped by a fear of heights, while, another finds like joy in like cliff diving, right? Skydiving, jumping out of an airplane. The reality is the same, okay? But the mind's interpretation and the emotion that it generates are different. Two people can be looking at the same dog, for example. Oh, by the way, I'm getting a dog. We are driving to South Carolina to pick up a dog. We've been on a list. We finally got approved. This has nothing to do with today's call, but I'm so excited. Okay, back to the story. So let's say that it's a German Shepherd, right? Sitting there quietly. One person sees it, and thinks that it's a threat, right? Potential danger, feels fear. The other person sees the dog and just sees like affection, tenderness, and protection, and instead of fear, this person feels love. Same dog. Dog's just sitting there minding his own business, right? But two wildly different interpretations and emotional responses. They're all generated exclusively by the mind, and like, why? Like, what's happening there, right? So for much of our existence, and we've talked about this on this call a few times, we've had serious stuff going on, like back in the early days, caveman days, right? Before everybody had these nice, pretty clothes and everything, like where we had to fear lions and tigers and, leopards stalking us, right? Even attacks from neighboring tribes, danger behind every corner, and it was the humans for the brains that monitored this stuff that responded quickly who actually survived, So, over about the last 6,000 years, we call, modern times, our nervous system has just been operating under this hypersensitive flight or fight system. Okay. And, if you were slow on the threat way back in the day, you were lunch, so the stakes were pretty high. It's a survival thing, today, we are not under that same sort of constant mortal threat in our day-to-day environment, but much of our primitive brain is still operating in the same way, right? Not to say that bad stuff doesn't go on, different places of the world. However, if you are on this webinar, or if you happen to ever watch this webinar, you're probably not worried about being attacked by a wild animal at this moment. You're probably safe for the most part, I hope. Otherwise, you're just really dedicated to be on this webinar. So your brain, okay, is still doing its job, triggering the same nervous system to threats. Okay. Now the only problem is, instead of lions and leopards and cougars and whatever animals, our nervous system is triggering the same response when we whip out our phone to do a broadcast. We sit down and record a video ad, right? Standing in front of a small group of people giving a presentation. Like yesterday, I hosted a masterclass. I was a little nervous, had some fear going on. And Rick says he's scared of cougars. Dude, I don't know that I've seen a cougar, but I'll bet I would probably be scared of one if he was not in a cage. And if he was in a cage, then that's just kind of a dick move, right? So I would probably be scared of one as well. I think that's totally real. This is why we have disproportionate fear responses to simple modern activities, right? We're using a primitive tool to run a modern day life, okay? So that means it's time to update our operating system, right? Or at least come up with a workaround, a hack, as the kids call it. The first thing to do is to just get real, like get a grip, gain some perspective, so that we can separate reality from fantasy. Like, look, man, it's not a lion or a cougar in Rick's case. It's phone. If you dial it, and the person answers it, they're not going to eat you, you know. Or if we happen to stand in front of a small group of people and give a presentation, they're not going to pillage your village or anything like that. You know, if we host a webinar and we do this, the audience is not going to attack you, even if you suck, because I've sucked, and so far no one has attacked me. So I can actually say that that is real. Okay, so if you put your face out there and you say some stuff, you're actually not in any mortal danger. Okay, now a good question to ask ourselves before doing anything where we think that, you know, fear is just ask yourself, am I going to die? And if the answer is no, then the fear is made up, right? Grossly overdramatic, and should have no power over whether we get a grip and take back the reins. So just to be clear, once and for all, fear is not real. Okay. So, you know, what's something that you've feared that you now, after asking yourself the question, if I do this, am I going to die? We can all think of something, right, that we feared. And then once we actually break it down, we realize that it's probably not that big of a deal. Okay. Like, you know, realize maybe our ancient brain has kind of overplayed it a bit. You know, and now we just cowboy up and go for it, and everything works out right. Yeah. I don't know if cowboy up is a term across the pond. It basically just means suck it up and get on with it. Cowboys invented that, actually. So way back in the day, in 1932, in his first inaugural address, Franklin Delano Roosevelt famously said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Like, I don't know if that's gone global, but it's like super overused over here in America. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And this is a far more profound idea than you might think at first. You know, you see, it's not the fear that we fear, like we've discussed, okay, because there's no such thing as fear. Fear is an illusion that we make up in our mind. So it really isn't the fear we fear. Okay, here's the great conundrum of it all. And it's not the actual act that gives us the fear. Okay, the act of making a phone call or shooting a video or standing in front of a group of people and making a speech, the act itself is not the fear, right? The fear of the fear is the anticipation of the act, right? That's the thing we fear. It's the anticipation. That's where we build this fear up, right? So there was an experiment done by this professor that you're not going to know his name, and he's probably dead. And he experimented something that most people find terrifying. His name was Seymour Epstein, just to give him credit. I didn't make this study up. So he took novices and put them on a plane and pushed them out with their permission, of course. I think that they had permission. That wasn't really part of the article, but I assume that they gave him permission to throw them out of an airplane. Before doing so, he fitted them with a heart rate monitor that measured their pulse. Okay. So as the plane climbed toward its release point, he found what he expected, that while still safe inside the plane, the jumper's heart rate got faster and faster and faster as the plane ascended. Okay. The higher the plane went, the higher the anxiety. And that part was expected. He figured that was going to be the case. But what he didn't expect to find was that once they were thrown out the door of the plane and started hurtling towards Earth with, just a few cords attached to a glorified bed sheet to keep them from splattering on the ground, their heart rates actually declined dramatically, and they admitted to enjoying themselves. So the most stressful part of the entire experience was the illusion of how frightening the event would be, right? The anticipation of the fear. Once the reality of the event took over, they jumped out of the airplane, the fear vanished, okay? This pre-fear is what happens before we shoot a video or pick up the phone, or before you get on stage, if you ever had to do that, or walk across the room to introduce yourself to a stranger. It's the anticipation of fear kicking in our ancient minds, right? The grand illusion. So once we're engaged in the actual activity, the brain just realizes that we're not toe-to-toe with a predator, and it turns off that fear response, right? Just again reminding us that fear is not real, right? It's the product of the thoughts that we create while danger is real, there is the thing is danger. Fear is a choice. Okay. So we've established, that one, fear doesn't exist. It's merely a figment of our imagination. And also that it's not even really about the thing that we fear. It's this mental illusion, right? That we start fearing the thing that we fear before the thing that we fear. Okay. Which, come to find out, is the only thing that actually gives us fear because you don't actually fear it once you do it. Things go away. Fear goes away once we do it, right? So it's the illusion of the illusion that gives it to us. Now, that's a mouthful. But what do you think about all this? How do we stop this fear spiral? Okay. Because feelings of fear are very real. Anxiety is very real. And what our mind makes up, about it is illusionary. But what it does to our nervous system, our heart, our behavior is very real. So how do we break this pattern? We step into it, right? You probably heard the phrase "lean into the fear," right? We step into it. So, here's the deal, and it's a lot easier than it sounds, and it takes a lot less effort and requires a lot less courage than you might think. You don't need to be brave all day, every day to be successful. In fact, you barely need to be courageous at all. So according to my calculations, which means Google Math, you can be a coward 99.9300556% of the time. Okay. That is your whole day, except for just 20 seconds, 3 times a day. Why 20 seconds? Because that is all it takes, oftentimes a lot less than that, to face your fear. You see, in just 20 seconds, you could pick up a phone and call the person you've been avoiding. In 20 seconds, you can introduce yourself to the person that you're interested in, but you keep avoiding, right? In 20 seconds, you can walk up to a circle of strangers and say hi. 20 seconds, you can start a tough conversation with a loved one. If you have a job, your team member, right? It takes 20 seconds to say no, even though it might make you unpopular. Even jump out of an airplane, okay? But you say, well, what do I do when I hit that inevitable wall of fear? Here's what you do. You shut off your brain, which for me is pretty easy. Close your eyes and hold your breath if you need to, not for too long. And you do what every signal in your brain is insisting you don't do. And you just run right at it. Think about it like your brain, while operating normally, meaning is, at the controls, will not allow you to jump out of an airplane, flying thousands of feet off the ground, particularly if it's the first time that you've done it and it doesn't know how safe it is, right? Your brain itself won't let you do it. It says, hell no, right? Like, we have to understand this. The brain's only job is survival, okay? And most people don't understand this. They think that the brain wants happiness and peace and love and joy and adventure and thrill and ecstasy. And no, the only thing on the job description of the brain is the vital function of survival. It doesn't really care about the joy and adventure, et cetera. That doesn't come from the brain, okay? So there's no way we can actually intellectually convince the brain that jumping out of an airplane is a good idea, okay? It won't allow us to do it. So we have to literally just turn it off just for a few seconds and then toss our body out the door, right? And that's what we need to do to break that ancient fear response, okay? And once we know that it's not dangerous, whether it's reaching out for help, calling somebody, shooting a video, introducing yourself, someone, as good looking as Ben over there, right? Like, once we just face the fear and do it, all that scary shit, man, just shut the brain off and do it. We always realize immediately that it's not that bad. It's never as bad as we build it up in our head. Just to walk up and be like, hi, I'm Jacqueline. Nice to meet you. Right? Shut the brain off. Just start punching digits on the phone and call and say, hi, my name's Rick. I've been wanting to talk to you. Whatever it is, okay? Those 20 seconds of courage are enough time to get engaged in the activity and for our brain to actually realize that we're not going to get eaten. Right? It's easy breezy, man. And this is the key point. The activities that we are most afraid of are activities that can cause the biggest breakthroughs in our success, right? The activities that we're most afraid of are the activities that can cause the biggest breakthrough in our success in any area of our life, not just our business, okay? Think of everything you could accomplish if you just forced 20 seconds of bravery on your primitive mind 3 times a day. right? Imagine how doing so would just multiply your success and your lifestyle, right? And your prominence in the marketplace, wherever that is that you choose to work, right? Think of the breakthrough that you could create, and you can still be just a total chicken shit the other 99.93056% of the time, right? You would just be a really successful chicken shit. Okay. So now that we've established that the brain is a total drama queen, it instantly fears the worst, and it makes mountains out of molehills. Okay. Sees a flea, makes it into a dragon. Not saying dragons are real. I don't really know for sure, but neither do you. So let's just go with it. Okay. There's this guy, Darren Hardy, I love. I recommended one of his books on here a while ago called The Compound Effect, but he calls this the twisted mind effect. And he tells this story about a friend of his that I'm going to share with you. So he was shopping at the mall a while back with his wife and his 14-year-old daughter. And he gives her name, but to protect the name of the innocent, we're going to call his daughter Joe. Okay, since we don't have permission. So Joe, his daughter Joe, they each did some individual shopping. Met his wife at their agreed upon meeting spot. And when he asked his wife, "Hey, where's Joe?" She said, "Oh, I thought she was with you, like she was when we parted ways. And she was with me a few minutes ago, but I haven't seen her." "Well, I thought she would be with you." "Well, I haven't seen her." Right? So they both looked at each other, worried. And after a long 2 minutes of waiting and scanning, every person that walked by, panic set into the father, like running, retracing every step they'd taken in the last hour. The mother asked every shopper that she saw if they'd seen a little girl fitting the description. As they both looked frantically, visions of abduction, child predators flooded their minds. Within 10 minutes, they had 3 security guards and a team of 4 mall cops huddled to begin a full-scale Joe hunt. Mom was crying, dad was yelling. Moments later, their daughter Joe just bound up cheerfully with a big smile. Mom burst out and ran up, and really squeezed the life out of her father on the brink of tears, joined the family hug. "Where were you?" he asked. "I was just trying on a pair of pants in the store right there, like 50 feet away." And in the span of 12 minutes, the minds of the mother and father had magnified the reality of their daughter being just a few minutes tardy, right, into projections of being abducted and molested and murdered and all of the negative things that you can possibly conjure up in the mind. That's what we call the twisted mind effect, and it happens all the time to the best of us. Okay. And the solution isn't to ignore the important things, but instead focus on the task at hand, right? Just without magnification, which is the hard part. Totally get it. It's not only a better way to get through life, but it's the secret, of the great, like pressurized, business leaders, playmakers in sports. I like sports, so I use those analogies, right? So Michael Jordan, I assume everybody knows who Michael Jordan is, even if you don't care about basketball, which I don't anymore since he retired. But I've heard him interviewed because he's one of the most successful people ever. And whenever he would get the ball to take the winning shot, people would always ask about the pressure, and he just said, like, I'm not thinking about the outcome, not thinking about how the shot's going to define the season, how the championship's on the line, or the highlight reel, or my legacy, or my career. Just thinking about taking a shot that I've taken a million times. Literally, it's the same shot. Tiger Woods, back when his mind was right, was standing over the final putt to win tournaments several times. And he's not thinking about the amount of money that's the difference in victory. He's not thinking about spiking endorsements. All he's thinking about is this one putt that he's made millions of times, which in reality, that is the task at hand. One of my all-time favorite players was Joe Montana. His name was Joe Cool, right? Because no matter how pressure-filled the situation, Joe Cool was the same, right? Now, I remember him being asked a while ago, like, how do you stay cool in those moments? And he just said, the pass that I have to complete is no different than the pass that I threw during practice as a freshman in high school. It's the same task. It's the same pass, and I've thrown it thousands and thousands of times since then. So it was just an example of focusing on the task instead of the circumstances or the outcome, right? Like, I may not be Joe Cool, but let's face it, we're all cool kids, here on this call. But same rules apply, man, to us in moments when, anxiety closes in on us. We can become a pressurized playmaker too. We just have to focus on the task at hand. So whether it's picking up the phone, shooting that video, sending that email, listing that product for sale, holding out your hand, saying, hi, my name's Mary, right? Just focus on the task at hand. Don't let your mind twist itself all up into a frantic mess by focusing on the magnified and usually negative false outcome, right? So I know we've all probably are familiar with that, but it's always good to be reminded, I believe, because fear controls a lot of stuff, man. So now I'm gonna call on you guys and find out how we can help with some of the things that you wrote down, right? Just based on that. So I'll tell you what I wrote down. And I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. I just kind of wrote the things I was thinking of. So, for me, something that with fear has prevented me from doing, and these all probably sound ridiculous, and they sound ridiculous to me once I actually write them down, there's this book I've got, Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, right? And I don't know if everybody knows who he is, but Joe has been known to help people heal themselves, like with their mind, right? Like tapping into something called the quantum field. And I've had that book for almost 2 years, right? I got this like super rare type of muscular dystrophy that there is no cure for, right? And so I bought this with the intention of, well, I'll just cure myself with my mind. That sounds easy, right? So I bought this book and then I started to read it and I'm like, fuck, this is deep. Like this is hard, So I put it aside and I have had fear in breaking it back out, because what if I do everything that it says? What if I do to the best of my ability and it doesn't work? Right. So that has been what has been preventing me from actually diving in and reading it for like 2 years now. So 4 weeks ago, I took it out and I said, this is ridiculous. Is it going to kill me? No. What's the worst case scenario? You'll be able to meditate better. You'll at least be able to deal with silence more, right? You will have given it a shot. You won't be physically any worse off by meditating, right? So I just had to take my own medicine. So that's been my new commitment, is 1 week. There's 16 chapters, and I'm studying, reading, listening to, writing about, doing the exercises 1 week each chapter. And that's my way to face that fear, right? Just take all the built up bullshit, I call it, around it, and just actually take action and do something about it. I like that. That's creative. How much time did you spend making that, girls? That's very impressive. That's
2 minutes. It takes me 2 minutes.
That would take me a week and it would not even look that good. Let's be serious. But I do like that. I'm a fan. You got to send me that. So that's one thing, right? Another one, and this is going to sound really ridiculous. This one's super recent. So I have fear of redoing my logo, right? That makes sense. So I have this, my website is amazing because somebody else built it who's really good at it. And my logo is like, I'm attached to it personally because I made it, right? And I was getting some guidance and some advice from someone who I trust, who's very successful in this world. And I could see them hesitating on giving me feedback. And I'm like, look, just tell me exactly how it is. Like I have zero ego involved in this. Like I just want to be better, and it makes perfect sense that my logo sucks because I made my logo way back even when I started. So not even as bad as I suck now at it, like originally sucked, and my website is amazing, right? So I have products that have my logo on it, like on Amazon and still on Walmart now, which is crazy. On Facebook, which is another thing I fear. So before I rebrand and redo my logo, I'm doing all this research, and I keep procrastinating on doing it because in my mind, well, what if I don't pick the right one? Right? What if I don't have the right logo created? And I mean, how ridiculous is that? It doesn't really matter. I just fucking change it again. Like, if that's really what it comes down to, I'll just make another logo. And I'm not even going to make it myself. I'm just have somebody else make it. I'm just trying to get these ideas. You know what I mean? But it just jumped out at me. Like, I have this fear over picking this, and it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I've got 10 billion people looking at my website every day, right? So I just have to really break it down and get real with it and face that fear. So what I've done is I put it on my power list now to do logo research. And by the end of next Friday, I will be done. I will do it every day until then, and then I will be done. So whatever it ends up being, then that's what it's going to end up being, you know? And if I have to go back later and deal with it, then I'll go back and deal with it. And it's not going to kill me, and it's not going to be the end of the world. And the only thing that ever gets hurt is my ego, which it's ridiculous to have anyway. So those are my fear things that I wrote down. So now I'm going to pick on you guys because, you know, we're all family here. So does anybody want to go first? With something they wrote down about their fear, because I saw you all writing, so I know you all have something down, unless you're just writing Danny as a dumbass or something like that, which is totally possible, and I won't judge you. Jacqueline, I'm gonna call on you because you're right in the middle of my screen.
Somehow I knew you were going to do that, so thank you.
It happens. It happens.
She was already unmuted. I noticed she was ready to go.
So, girls, you remember though. So we've been doing these calls now for 2 years. Last month marked 2 years that we've been doing these. And Jacqueline was on like the first one, if not definitely like the second one. And you were so scared to come out and talk and do anything. And I've sent you messages, you know, about this early, just the growth and how you come out and have faced the fear. Like, you've shown up to face the fear to come out and be on camera and talk to people. And everything, man. It's just, I love it. Like, that's what I'm talking about. So you're a perfect example of this. So that's why I'm picking on you.
You could feel that I'm still shaking. So yeah, but I still am, but that's okay. We are here to step in our fears. And I just love when you said the longer you wait stepping into them and feeding your fears, the bigger they get. Because what has been I've been putting off paid marketing. I've written down 3 fears that I have found in myself over the last couple of months. And because I've just been feeding them. And the fears are fear of success, the fear of not being enough for the individual who needs my help, and fear of talking. And these are all 3 things that I need doing paid marketing. I need to, if I would have success, I need to lose my fear, because at the moment I can't really fail anymore because I'm already, how do you say that? Financially bottom, I'm hiding from humanity. So I'm very comfortable in that. So thinking about success freaks me out. So that is a big fear that I have. Actually, Dan Holloway brought me to that, digging deeper into that with his content. And I really thought, what if you are successful? And what if people seek your help and you are not enough, or your content is shallow, or you're just, I don't know, it's just that whole fear of not being enough, and then the fear of talking, because I'm very introvert, and I have been hiding from people for like a decade. I'm not going out very much, so I can be alone very good. So these are 3 fears that are really holding me back, and I made them into an elephant, like you said. I've been feeding them. But in September, I have made the decision to go into paid marketing. So I'm, how do you say that? I'm reading my ads, reading down my ad scripts at the moment, joining the trainings on that, because now they can do low cost paid marketing, because I don't like my fear. But like you say, it's not real, but it feels real. So I always like when Carl uses that phrase broken record, but I think that's exactly what we need to reprogram our mind. I use not only positive affirmations, but I have got a self-talk app, like positive self-talk. I use that every 15 minutes in the morning, because I have worked with a confidence coach, and he has shown me how poorly I talk to myself. And I hadn't known that before. I always said, oh, I have fear, or I'm not good enough. And he has been sharing how I can switch that around to, like you say, stop feeding these fears and just knowing that they are not real. But like you say, they feel bloody real. So it's really difficult to just reprogram your mind. And I love broken records because I think hearing that over and over again, it just helps me realizing that I can't die and nothing bad will happen. It's just like you said, it's like if an ad goes wrong, what can happen? I'm just going to shoot it again. But the fear is still there. But I just love this topic. So I love broken records because it helps me reprogram my mind, but it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort. So but never giving up.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, you say fear of success. I've got this. I don't know if you know what SoundCloud is, but I listen to these motivational things in the morning on the way to the gym. And I just have it set to random. And every day this week, one has come up where the first thing that it says is our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. And I don't know who says it. It's got a really nice voice. But that every day it has popped up on random every day. And SoundCloud's huge, right? It's like, it's not YouTube big, but it's big. You know what I mean? And I think that that's so true. What happens if I do all this and I don't succeed? What happens? Do it again, right? Because like you say, you just keep moving forward and you don't quit, and props to you for doing your paid marketing, and I know you've heard me share, like I didn't have a real successful ad until my 51st ad. So, I mean, if you know what I mean? So as long as you 49 more to go, man, and you're still better at this than me, you know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter. We just don't quit, Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right, Rick, thanks for joining the call today, man.
Hi there. Yeah, good to be here. I don't know why. Well, I know why it's taken so long to get here. Is because I didn't have. I had a job, and that got in the way of everything. So
they do that. They are wildly inconvenient. Yeah.
So I was always all this stuff going on in the middle of the day, in the afternoons and stuff, and I couldn't join in because I had to, do the job thing. So now I got rid of that.
Sweet. We're glad to have you here, man.
Got that out of the way. So my fear, as soon as I wrote it down, I knew it was rubbish. As in, it wasn't. It shouldn't be a thing I'm worried about or fearful of. And that was I had this really cool idea for an ad, and you know what it's like when you first come up with an idea and you think, oh, that's really cool, that's going to be awesome. And then I wrote some notes down on it, and I shot a little video telling sort of like a little sort of like a video note of what it was going to be like, and sort of a quick sort of an example sort of rehearsal type thing of what it was. And then I watched it back and I thought, oh no, that's rubbish. And now I'm worried that the idea isn't going to work. It's not so much getting the video shot or anything like that. It's just the concept, will it work as a concept? And I'm kind of worried about that. And I know it's stupid because all I need to do is do it, test it, and if it doesn't work, either fix it by trying it again, or just move on, do something else. And yeah, it just writing it down now has helped me to think, no, just shouldn't be worried about this, just do it.
That's it, man. That's it. And the chances are it's probably not going to do well.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
Okay. Because listen, most don't. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it might. That's right, dude. Yeah. It might. It might.
And it might not be. It might be a good concept. It might just be my poor execution of that concept that means it's
or you might do it and you might find something, and then you just realize you need to target a different audience with it, right? Or you just need to change a couple of things and you tweak it. It's like my most successful ad to date like I wrote 3 different beginnings that I thought were really awesome, and I was like all proud of them. And the one that ended up killing it was I just said, "There's countless ways to make money on the internet. You don't even have to be a porn star to do it. Let me show you how." Crushed it. You know what I mean? And like Caroline's like, "You should use that." I'm like, "Yeah, but this over here, I wrote this. Like this is good." You know, people don't care. You know what I mean? It's just whatever gets. You never know. You never know what people are gonna like, right? So just do it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm you know, I'm right at the beginning of launching ads and campaigns and stuff, and you know, so it can only get better, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it might get worse along the way, but you know, if I don't,
forward, man.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, if I don't stop, then I can't fail. So
that's it, brother. I appreciate you sharing, man, and thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Does anybody want to go next, or should I just pick on people? All right, Mary, you're next.
I had a feeling that was coming.
How are you?
Good. It's good to be here. Thanks, Ben, for your little pep talk and getting me over here.
I'm serious. I'm gonna have Ben shoot all my videos from now on. I'm gonna be like, I have something important to say. He's gonna say it much better than me. It'd be awesome.
You're good at it too.
I appreciate
it. Probably my biggest fear that's been holding me back lately is coming out on camera on these calls. And I think actually, you know, when you said there a few minutes ago that you were going to come to us and get us to come out with our fears, something popped into my head that I think I was actually on one of your calls like about a year ago, and I hung up. I was like, no, that's it, I'm out of here. So for me to actually still be here, this is good.
That's what most people do. So I'm just shocked that you're still here. So, you know.
Well, it's good.
I like it.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know, I guess like I feel like I want to try and connect with people, but it's really hard when you kind of talk yourself out of it and you get all worked up about it, and then you just go, it's just easier to just not do it right now. I'll do it next time. And then you forget, and there's another reason next time and stuff. So it's good to be here, still on the call.
That's it. Well, look, we're glad you're here, and thank you for hanging out and for facing your fear. It's like everybody's in the same boat. You know, some people just face the fear a little bit sooner, but we're like, I still don't like being on video. Like I really, most of the time I don't. But I don't look at it as coming out to talk on video. I look at it, I get to come hang out with cool kids from all over the world. Like that's just the mindset that I have, you know. And everybody that shows up to our calls is cool. That's it. We only have one rule: don't be an asshole. That's the only rule on this call, you know. So, and you know, Curls just cusses like a sailor. So we just have to put her in the call. But yeah, we're glad that you're here. So keep coming out and keep talking. No judgment, right?
Yep. I'll keep doing it. I'll be here in 2 weeks' time too.
Awesome. I'll have to think of something to say by then. Thank you. All right. Who else? Who would like to come out, or should I can pick on people? I'm so good at it. Ben, since you're going to be my video shooter from now on, brother, what did you write down?
Just an opening gambit. I was watching Curls' face when you talked about the porn star thing, and she had that. She looked like a nun in a church. It was absolutely brilliant. I think she was involved. She was on the computer, but the timing was absolutely perfect. It was brilliant. For me, I think you know, there's loads of stuff. All the stuff that I've heard so far absolutely applies to me as well. But for me, it's the fear of panicking, and not being able to articulate myself when I know that I can. You know, so we all nervous about coming onto camera. I am now. I feel my heartbeat, as we've talked about before. But you know, I panic about the fact that I won't be able to come across articulately and get my point across. And I think that's probably something that we all suffer from. So yeah, at the end of the day, fear is there, and courage is about facing your fear, not the absence of fear, of course. But trying to rationalize fear is the hardest thing in the world. I shit myself, excuse me, Curls, when it comes to heights. You know?
And you're a pilot.
I know. And I'll tell you what, here's a quick story, because I don't want to, you know, people like Maureen or Daniel would need to have a say. But my first job as a pilot 24 years ago was at a parachute company. Okay, so I was flying an airplane. There were five skydivers in the airplane. I'd sit in the left-hand seat, and I'd look over the shoulder, give them a thumbs up when we're over the drop zone, and they jump out. And I couldn't kind of look more than just out the corner of my eye, because I used to SHIT myself. And then at the end, what I had to do was turn the airplane to the right to make sure nobody was hung up on the back of the airplane, because some of the cables get caught, from the parachutes. And you have to do that before you launch down, because obviously catastrophic results happen. But and that was it. Just looking out with that open door into the back, I'd used to absolutely it was just so fearful. Anyway, 6 months later, I'm jumping out of airplanes. So, it's one of those things. I was absolutely determined, despite my irrational fear, was to face up to it. I still have that, but I know that fear is never going to go away. But that's the point. Courage is about facing up to it. So there we go.
Absolutely. I love it, man. Jumping out of airplanes is like the funnest thing in the universe too, man. I love it. I'm a huge fan. Maureen. Yeah, I'll jump out of here. You can fly and I'll jump out. Let's do that next time, Ben. Maureen, come on out.
Yeah, I think my fear is even just talking on this call. So I'm just really feeling nervous. But on Tuesday, we were told that if you are afraid of speaking in a room or in one of these calls, you just look at someone you feel comfortable with and you go on. So I'm just going to look at Ben. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. So my fear, the fear that I've been going through of late is letting go of my younger sister, because I have a sister who is 17 years old, and I am in my mid-20s, like I'm 24 years old. So I've been taking care of her since I was 16 years, and just recently her mom reached out to me, because we share the same father but different mothers. So I've just been feeling some pain within me, because I feel like her reaching out would mean that I'll be without a family, because she's like the only family that I'd say I have at the moment. So just so I've just it's been a lot of issues, but I don't know, after consulting myself, and Ben is a good friend of mine, so I've decided to let her go. At least she's still going to be in my life, and I'm still going to be in hers. But yeah, so because the best thing for her is for her to be with her mom and have a relationship with her. It's the best for her. It might not be the best for me, but it's just what's best for her. So yeah, that is the fear that I feel that I've had to overcome. So yes.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, and thanks for coming out and facing your fear here. Right, this is awesome. You can always talk here. No need to be fearful. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming out and sharing. Daniel, my man.
Ooh, wow, I don't even know where to start. This is a pretty relevant topic. I feel like I've been feeling a lot of fear for the past little while, especially lately. I don't know if it's like because of the Scorpio season or it's a new moon or whatever, but I just feel like I'm getting hit on all angles with it, especially with some of the things that everybody's sort of mentioned. But like for me, in terms of like being here and building a business, I definitely feel like I'm not doing the things that I know I need to be doing. The fear isn't like crippling per se, but I guess it's just like more of the subtle things that I unconsciously may fear, and that's not why I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So like shooting an ad, writing a script, working on my site, etc. And then just in my personal life, playing small, trying to avoid my ego. The last thing I wrote down here is like, I just fear my ego and what it's going to say, which is weird because fear and ego, I guess, are two illusory things, but that negative self-talk can feel so real, just as fear can, that we do whatever we can to avoid it. And it's weird because you know, we're in this space of like personal growth and stuff, we have pushed ourselves past our comfort zone before, so we know what it's like to kind of face fear and step into it and realize that it's not real. But I think the ego comes in, and what it tries to do is like tries to raise the bar even higher. So like for me, it's like something will pop into my reality, like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Like you push your fear before, but it tries to take it higher and higher. And it's not even like, it's like from a place of intuition anymore. It's like a place of ego. And if I don't do the thing that my ego is saying that I should do, then I'm afraid of, like, I don't even know the thoughts that come up. So it's a weird dynamic and balance, and trying to figure everything out is, I guess, sort of challenging for me as time.
Dude, I like that. That was well said. Do you mind if I give you some feedback?
Yeah, absolutely.
So two things. You know, one is if we look at everything at one time, it's overwhelming. That's just life. You know what I mean? And then usually we don't do anything because there's just so much to do, right? So it's that we can't really face fears, like you mentioned, whatever, you know, your website or your ad or, you know, all these different things. Just pick one thing. Just pick one thing. And that's what you do, right? If we have fears in these different areas of our life, say, I'm going to commit every day to doing one thing in this one area, right? Because then if let's say that I'm going to focus on whatever, my logo today, right? So that I'm going to face this fear of my logo, but all of a sudden this other thing comes up is I need to do this product thing on Amazon or whatever it is, right? Or in a relationship, something bigger than just a product. I just ignore that because I'm doing the logo today. I'm doing this today. I'll do that later. Like, we can't face all of our fears at the same time, right? Just pick one, face it, and then that will give you the confidence when you're done with that to face the other fears, right? And with regards to the ego, I do a lot of this in recovery. Just ask ourselves, like when you say, well, can you do this? But can you do this? And we keep raising the bar. Ask yourself, if I do that, who benefits? And if we're the only person that benefits, that's ego, right? So if we look at something and we say, like, is this going to serve other people? Is this going to help anyone else on the planet, my life, in my circle, whatever? Then it's not always about ego. It might just be trying to make you better, right? Because we can talk ourselves into, well, that's just my ego because something is super uncomfortable and challenging. But if it's going to benefit other people, it's probably not just our ego. You know what I mean? But if I'm the only person that benefits, that's me trying to be, you know, that's ego. Right. So I just figured I'd share that, man, because that's helped me in the past. So hopefully that helps you, bro. Anna.
Again, I was hoping kind of you're gonna take all the others.
Yeah, you had that look on your face like, so you know what's gonna happen then, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, well, actually, I was kind of writing, but I couldn't come up with anything that I was actually truly that I can really say, like, this is stopping me. Thing is that I have the bigger fear that is actually the one that I hang on to, that is driving me forward, rather than the small fears that are keeping me back. So technically, what I usually kind of start freaking out about is all of the digital things. Every time I need to kind of download the new program and start that, and I start freaking. And my reaction is usually like, okay, put it down to rest and think through. And well, I have been through some real creepy things and some really scary shit in my life. Sorry, Carls. I feel guilty when I curse, because I feel like I'm encouraging Danny to continue.
Danny needs no encouragement to just be me. I promise you.
Is that a conspiration? You've got to strike Ben and Anna.
Just to speak normally. So yeah, well, I have really been through through things that hell of a lot worse than that. So when this comes over, I start freaking out about it. I usually kind of back off and it's like, and list up all the things that I've been through. And it's like, what else can scare me? I've been through a hell of a lot worse things that where my life was actually threatened. And so it kind of, it gives a hell of a lot of strength through going through small things, you know. And I think everybody has something they've been through. It's like you're facing the worst thing that can happen. Like, yeah, well, you're gonna have to delete it or just reboot the computer, restart the whole shit and start all over again. It's no big deal. It's not going to kill you. So I don't really have that kind of a fears. My biggest fear was basically seeing my own face in a camera, and I kind of getting over that. First goal, I was right here, you know, on this goal, when I had to kind of turn on the camera for the first time and really see myself on it. So it is, I don't know, I guess I kind of got over it, but the fear that drives me, it's the actual real kind of, it is as real as can be. And it is that I won't be, it's like that, what I am most scared of is not being able to rely on myself, not being able to count on myself, and being dependent on somebody else. That's my real fear. And just imagining to kind of being stuck in relying on someone else is kind of drive enough to make to continue moving, and losing the freedoms, like being depending on what somebody else thinks I should do or not do. That really brings up the strength to like, oh no, I'm a cat personality here. You try to push me in a corner, I'm gonna scratch and get out of there, you know. I'm not gonna let anybody push me in a corner. So it is the fear of being in that situation. And I have been in a situation where I didn't have another choice than to depend on somebody else economically, and the feeling, it's like never again. And that drives me through all of this kind of all the bullshit fears, like, oh, so what's going to happen if I start learning like this program or download this program? If it doesn't work, just take it off. So I don't think really I have kind of letting fears coming in my way so much.
Well, that's good to use the fear to push you forward, not to paralyze you. So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing the video that you shoot today with that new background that you got set out there. Make sure you shoot me a message when you're done with your ad and be like, hey, it's done. Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna try
There
to
you go.
figure out how to tag you in in the community. So when I
There
put
you
it
go.
up.
I think you just typed my name, but that's a Carl's question. I call her. She's my tech support.
You're gonna have to learn to let go of curls and learn to do things by yourself, because you can't, you know, sooner or later you have to let go of mama's skirt, you know, and try to walking on your own. So
I will let you know when I'm ready to face that fear. Don't pick on me. So one thing at a time, right? That's what we're talking about. All right, Larissa, you want to come out and share? We got a minute or two here. Why don't you come on out? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I like your t-shirt.
Well, thank you. I made it myself. I woke up early.
Well, I actually call my challenge the waking up challenge, wake the fuck up. Sorry
There
for
you
swearing.
It's
5:45.
really cool, man.
Actually, I have a calendar which shows that.
I like it.
I missed some of the webinar. My heart is coming out. I'm getting nervous, but it's fine. Fear. I think the biggest fear is fear of failure. I actually had a meditation with fear of failure, and that fear usually is in our mind. That's what the guy was describing, is mostly psychological fear. It's not like you're gonna be hit by a bus, but inside your mind, your primitive brain, I think he calls it, what's that thing that changes color? That animal, or
A chameleon?
yeah, something like that. That's our primitive brain, which is trying to protect us. So because it's trying to protect us, it doesn't allow us to get out of our comfort zone. So
That guy sounds brilliant.
yeah, and the biggest fear is fear of failure, and that's where all the fears are coming from. Like self-belief, can I do it? Can I be independent? Can I rely on myself? And you mentioned something which made me think of what Vishen Lakhiani said, and I have it here written. Your life is not about you, it's about touching other people's lives as well. So yeah, I don't know, I realized with time and with being with SFM, I've grown so much with personal development. I built so much confidence with fitness and the modules and the podcasts and books. Sometimes I feel like I'm Stuart Ross, but I'm not, because I resonate a lot with him and all the work he's done. And yeah, I don't know, my feels like being successful, like when will I get to do the ad? Because I'm doing the incubate and the lift off, and I have the modules to finish, and I have the accelerate. I'm like, oh my God, when will I get there to set the campaign, to set the ads and see some results? Because I don't know, I feel like when will I get there? And I avoid talking a lot about what I'm doing to a lot of people because they don't get it. So I just keep it for me.
Well, you talk about results, you already have the results. You talked about how much you've grown since you've been here. That's a result, right? So
yeah,
be careful not to make there only be one result and it be a financial result, right? The results are just showing up every day and being better than yesterday, and you're obviously doing that. That's a result in itself.
One thing that Stuart mentioned in one of the masterclasses is owning like the fact on what you want. So I do want that financial freedom to be able to help my family as well. So for a long time, I couldn't own it. Like I know I want to touch other people's life. I want to help them. I want to be an affiliate, but also I'm very passionate about nutrition. And that's all I talk about all day long, nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. So I know I want to touch people with that and help people with that. But I just own it that, yeah, I want the financial success as well. Why not?
Good. Well, I'm glad you're here. The more money you have, the more impact you can make.
Don't feel shame. I think I grown up as a child, I grown with a lot of shame around money and being worthy. And actually there's a connection. I read the book Happy Money by Ken Honda. And actually when you're afraid to spend or afraid to invest in yourself, which I had, it took me a lot of time to see as an investment, like incubate and stuff. And it was a fear of, am I worthy enough? Am I enough? There's a connection, psychological connection there. But I guess I stepped out of that. So.
You did. Well, well done. We're glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming out, even though your heart's beating out of your chest. That's the best feeling, right?
It's about to come out, yeah.
That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. So remember, guys, before we wrap up with the book of the week, what it all comes back to is gratitude. We can't be fearful and grateful at the same time. It's not possible. Can't be anxious and grateful at the same time, right? So if we're grateful for the progress that we've had, we're grateful for the things in our lives, grateful for the community we're a part of, it gives us the ability to have an impact on a lot of people. Just be grateful, man. Anytime you're scared, just be grateful. Be grateful you're alive to be scared, right? Because not everybody is. So our book of the week, no, action items first. Action items. First one, of course, is the same every week. If you're new to our call, what it is to reach out and tell someone that you appreciate them, that you're grateful for them, right? Don't text them or email them, but send them like a voice note or a phone call or any of that, right? Just something where you verbally tell someone that you appreciate them. It will never go unappreciated by doing that. The second action item is to just sit down right before you go off and do anything. I will do this as well, even before I go pee, which is like immediately after this, because it's a long time. Write down 3 things that you're going to do today that would take 20 seconds or less that you're just going to do. 3 things, okay? Just write them down and just knock them out. 3 things you've been avoiding, because I guarantee you can do them very quickly, right? Our book of the week for our call, which is every other week, is Relentless by Tim Grover. He actually has a newer book out now called Winning. This is a few years old. Awesome book. It's not for everybody. He's a little hardcore, but he was like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant's trainer, coach. He's a stud in the personal development space. Great book. Highly recommend it. Curls.
Show it
Thank
again,
you.
please. Show it again.
You are so needy.
I can't believe we just said that. Oh, you have no
I do have no shame. That's a true story. Thank you. If it's your first time joining us, we're glad to have you here amongst the cool kids. For those of you who've been cool kids forever, always good to see you, man. Super grateful for all of you and to have the space to hang out with you. Curls, you know I love you and I'm grateful for you. And none of this will work without you. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you too.
All right.
Bye,
You
cool
also
kids.
have trouble.
Oh, well. Or no, don't tell them to stay out of trouble. They're supposed to overcome their fear. Go and face trouble. Go for it.
There you go.
It's gonna be fun. And tell us next time how it went. Bye, everybody. You are all awesome. Very proud of you for coming on camera, especially that we have a call full of introverts. That's absolutely amazing. So remember to kind of like appreciate what you did today as well, because it's amazing.
True story.
Cool.
Bye, guys.